Okay, grade 5. So this is the concept 2.3 summary. This is the energy flow in ecosystems. So we will talk in this part about the energy and how it flows in the ecosystem, or how the energy is passed from one organism to another in an ecosystem. First, what's energy? Energy is the ability to do work. Energy, this is the ability to do work. Like when you go to school, you need energy to go to school. You need energy to play. Even you need energy to think and study. So the energy itself, this is the ability to do work. Without energy, we cannot do anything. Then what about the energy pyramid? The diagram that you can see, this is called the energy pyramid. Energy pyramid. As you can see, it looks like a pyramid. Let's see, what about it? Energy pyramid, it's a diagram. It's a diagram or a drawing that shows the amount of energy available at each level of an ecosystem. So the energy pyramid, it's a diagram that shows the amount of energy available at each level of an ecosystem. So this diagram or this pyramid, it tells us the amount of energy that is available for each type of organisms in the ecosystem. But listen to this part carefully. Only about 10% of the sun's energy gets turned into food energy by a producer. So when the sun supplies energy or supplies light energy for the plants are producers. They only use 10% of the energy. Only 10% of the energy is turned into food. So what about the rest of the energy? The rest of the energy is used when the organism performs its daily activities. This is the same also for the plants. So only about 10% of the sun's energy get turned into food energy by the producer. When a producer is eating, do you remember the herbivores, the animals that eat only plants? When a producer is eating, about 10% of the food energy it contains get turned into consumer tissue. So what about the 90%? The 90%, the rest of the energy is used when the organism performs its daily activities, and some of it is released as heat. Like when you eat your food, you have energy inside your body. Some of this energy that enables you to move, go, run, play, swim, and so on. And some of the energy is released as heat when your body's temperature gets higher. This is the heat. This is the rest of the energy. The rest of energy the organism uses to perform its daily activities, and some of it is released as heat. So only 10% of the sun's energy get turned into the food energy by the producer. So this is an energy pyramid. Let's look at it. It starts with that when the sun provides producers with the light energy. These are like bananas, they are producers. The energy here is 100%. Then, when the producers are eaten by primary consumers like the fruit flies, in this case, only 10% of the energy is turned into the bodies of the fruit flies. Then, when the secondary consumer like the toucans, they eat the primary consumers or the fruit flies, they get 10% of the 10% that was in the primary consumers, 10% of the 10%, this means 1%, right? Then when the secondary consumer is eaten by the tertiary consumer like these jaguars, in this case only 0.1% of the energy is turned into the body of the jaguar. So, as we said, only 10% are available at each level of the energy pyramid. The producers, they use the energy from sunlight to make their own food. Then when they are eaten by the primary consumers, only 10% of the energy that was in the producers get into the tissues of the primary consumer. And when the primary consumer is eaten by the secondary consumer, 10% of the energy that was in the primary consumer is taken inside the bodies of the secondary consumer. So each time we take the organism takes, or each level takes 10% of the previous amount of energy. So as we go higher in an energy pyramid, the energy becomes less and less. Okay, this is why the juggler, for example, needs to eat many tokens in order to get the energy that its body needs, right? It will not only eat one token. So as we move up, some of the energy is lost because each level, the organisms in each level perform their daily activities, right? Okay, what about decomposers? If any of these animals or organisms die, so the energy will go to the consumers directly because they eat the remains of dead plants and animals. This is the decomposers like mushrooms, bacteria, and fungi. Okay, let's move on. Then page 2. The consumers. We said that any energy pyramid, the base of any energy pyramid starts with the producers. Okay. Then what about the consumers? Consumers are classified by the levels they occupy in the food chain into primary consumers, secondary consumers, and tertiary consumers. Primary means 1, secondary means 2, they are the second part. Tertiary means they are 3. This is the third level or the top level. Let's see. The primary consumers, these are the organisms that eat producers, like the fruit flies right here. So the primary consumers, they are the second link in the food chain after producers. So these are like the herbivores, they eat producers. They are the second link, the second level in an energy pyramid. What about the secondary consumers? They obtain energy by eating the primary consumers. The secondary consumers, like the tokens, they get the energy that their body needs when they eat the primary consumers. Okay. What about the tertiary consumers? Tertiary consumers are at the top of most of the food chains found in an ecosystem. Tertiary consumers like this jaguar. These are the tertiary consumers. Okay, they are found at the top of the food chain or the top of the energy pyramid. Okay, this is another diagram of an energy pyramid. It starts with the base of any energy pyramid, represents the producers. Then the producers, when they use the energy from the sun, then primary consumers like locusts or grasshoppers, and like other flies, they eat producers. They get only 10% of the energy stored in the producers, and the rest is released as heat. Then, when the primary consumers are eaten by secondary consumers like rats and snakes, in this case, 10% of the energy is transferred to these secondary organisms. 10% of the 10%, this means 1% only. Then the tertiary consumer, like the fox, it takes only 0.1%. Okay, and as we studied, all of these organisms, when any one of them die, so the energy is transferred to the decomposers. Okay. Then page number 3. How do energy pyramids compare? How do energy pyramids compare? Examples, rabbits. Look at this energy pyramid. It starts with producers at the base, then the herbivores, the primary consumers, then carnivores, the secondary consumers like snakes, then the tertiary consumer on top like the hog. Okay. Rabbits feed on carrot, so they feed on carrot, which is a producer. Rabbits feed on carrot and receive only 10% of the plant energy because the plant uses the rest of energy in its life processes like growing, like producing fruits and seeds, like reproduction, and so on. The plant needs some energy in its body for its daily activities. And the snakes as well, right here, they are the secondary consumers. Snakes feed on rabbits and they take only 10% of its energy. So they take 10% of the energy that was in the rabbits. that the rabbits already got from eating plants. So why the snakes take only 10% of the energy in the rabbits? Because the rest of the energy is used by the rabbit itself in its life processes, like running, like finding food, like reproduction, like growing. These all are activities that need energy. So each level, its organisms get only 10% of the previous level in any energy pyramid. Okay, the bottom of energy pyramid, as you can see in all the energy pyramids that we have seen, the bottom or the base of any energy pyramid, it is producers or plants, right? Okay, let's see. The bottom of the pyramid represents the producers, and it is the largest level because it contains the most organisms and therefore the most energy. Yes, it takes a lot of producers to support one consumer with enough energy. So what does this mean? Okay, again, it takes a lot of producers to support one consumer with enough energy. Let's look at this energy pyramid. As you can see here, the producers like carrots, for example. So for one rabbit to support its energy, it takes only 10% of the energy from the producers, right? But the rabbit itself needs more than only 10% of energy. So the rabbit will not get enough with only one plant or one producer or one carrot. So many producers will be eaten by a single primary consumer to get the energy that its body needs, like the rabbit. The rabbit will eat many carrots and other plants in order to supply its body with the energy that it needs, right? This is the meaning of this sentence. It takes a lot of producers to support one consumer with enough energy. Then what about the top of the pyramid? The top of the pyramid, it represents the top carnivores, like the jaguars or the hawks. And it is the last level because it contains the fewest organisms and therefore the least energy. Again, the top of the pyramid represents the top carnivores, and it is the last level because it contains the fewest organisms. This is the fewest number of organisms, and therefore the least energy. The tertiary consumers feed on the secondary consumers. Look here, the tertiary consumers, like the eagles, they feed on the secondary consumers. They are at the top. They are the lowest or the fewest number of organisms, and they have the least energy. Okay. Then what would happen if the producers were removed from the ecosystem? What will happen if you removed all the producers from the ecosystem? We studied this before. The entire ecosystem would collapse. It would be damaged. There would be no healthy ecosystem because all consumers would be affected negatively. If you removed the producers, you removed the food from the food web or from the ecosystem. In this case, the primary consumers will have nothing to eat. After a while, they all will disappear. Then the secondary consumers will have nothing to eat and so on. So the whole ecosystem would collapse. Then another question, what effect would the addition of more consumers have on the ecosystem? What effect would the addition of more consumers have on the ecosystem? In other words, this question asks, what if you added more consumers to the ecosystem? What will happen to the ecosystem if you added more consumers to the ecosystem? Okay, the addition of more consumers will lead to a decrease in the number of producers that the consumers eat. If you added more consumers, so this means they will eat more producers. The addition of more consumers will lead to a decrease in the number of producers. The number of producers will become less because they will eat more. In this case, this will lead to a decrease in the overall number of consumers because they don't have enough food for the consumers. What does this mean? Look at this pyramid here. Imagine that we added more primary consumers, or more any type of consumers. What will happen here? These consumers, like the primary consumers, if you added more of them, so they will need more of producers, right? So eating more producers will, at the end all or finish all the producers. After some time, the consumers will have nothing to eat. So again, let's break this part. If you added more consumers into the ecosystem, more consumers means more individuals that need to eat. So in this case, they will consume more food. The addition of more consumers will lead to a decrease in the number of producers that consumers eat. This will lead to a decrease in the overall number of consumers because they do not have enough food for the increased number of consumers. And this is the end of the summary 2.3. Okay, guys, so today we studied the energy pyramids and we took many examples of it. Thank you, guys.